This is PC747, and today I just want to talk about the $1,000 smartphones. Right now, that seems to be the trend, the talk, and it makes you wonder, when and how did we get here? Are we getting more for our money, or are we just paying so that the manufacturers can get rich? Well, let's start with first, how did we get here? Now, when I look back at my Motorola Droid back in the day, I was starting to do some research to see what the retail cost for that was. And I had to do some extensive research for a little bit, because back when I bought my Motorola Droid, you had to buy it on contract through Verizon. You spend, I want to say it was $200, $230 or something like that. And I'm sorry, it was $299, and then you paid your 2-year agreement. So for a lot of people, if you were to go off of that, you would think the phone cost $300, but the reality is that wasn't the case there. It wasn't until years later that we started buying phones separate of our contract because of separate of the contract because people was demanding of that. But let's look at what research is saying that the average retail of the Motorola Droid was. And looking at now, it was showing that $600 was about the average retail for that phone back then. Now, if you look at what a Droid is then and where we are at now, you can argue that, well, Android is much better. We have a lot more features. The speakers are better, the sound is better, the display is beautiful. It's like night and day what we're dealing with then and now. And some may argue that the build quality of smartphones are far superior. Glasses, just totally different. Don't scratch as easy. Like I said, the sound is great. I mean, it's a far better smartphone. Well, before I argue with that case there now, I will say this. The Motorola Droid back then was built like a tank. Motorola had a great reputation for its build quality, its radios. It was the manufacturer you went to when you wanted stuff to work. You wanted quality. It was the next greatest thing next to what Apple had overall. In fact, I would say in some areas, especially with the radios, far exceeded. And I remember seeing Motorola Droids back in the day, nicked up, banged up, chipped up, still running. Glass still great. Now, obviously you did have some people who had shattered glasses, but overall the screen was good, build quality was good, and for $600 you got a solid phone. Obviously back then Android was nowhere near where we are at now. And then you take the Note 4, years ahead in the future. Average retail price for that, $820. By then, we're starting to see features get far superior. Material used, much better. Sound quality, better. You go to the Note 5, same thing. Average price for that was $830, and that was for the 64 gigabyte model. Again, solid build, glass, S Pen, S features, S Pay. You got all that for $830. So when you take the Note 5, that's retailed at $830 then, and a Note 8 that now retails at $1,000, not including taxes. In fact, when I bought the Note 8 on opening week, it came to $1,016 if I included everything, taxes and all. So $830, $1,016, $1,000. What changed in 2 years to equate to a $200 hike? I mean, back when I bought the Note 5, I remember thinking, man, I'm not quite feeling that. I'd rather get the Nexus 6P, which is a little bit cheaper. I felt like the Note 5 was considered too much for a smartphone. And now we're spending $1,000. And if you go and look at where we at with the iPhone X, no headphone jack. Pixel 2 XL compared to the Nexus 6P, no headphone jack. In fact, if you was to look at the Google side of things, Nexus 6P, Pixel 2 XL, 2-year difference, where did $300 go? They both have great front-facing speakers. The screens, compared to what they offered back in the day during its time and where it was competing against the competition, was pretty good. Camera on a 2XL was far better, obviously. I think this year it's going to end up being, if not the top camera, pretty much up there. Whereas the Pixel 2 XL, whereas the Nexus 6P back in the day was not quite there. But you can't tell me that camera was worth that extra $200-300. I don't know, maybe Google will feel like that they are going to make up for the time that they sold the Nexus at a lower end price. I don't know. I can't quite explain what Google is thinking right now. Can't even quite explain what Samsung is thinking right now. Maybe they're trying to make up for the lost sales in the Note 7. Or maybe this trend of smartphones continuing to rise is something we should be concerned about. Or should we? Well, if you take out our heavy hitters, the Samsungs, the Pixel 2 XL, and the iPhone X, if you look at what we have as far as the others, you will see that actually some of your mid-end phones, well, they're getting better. Much better. In fact, let's take your Motorola Z Force, which, if you look at the price right now, you can argue that's around the mid-end price. By far a good phone. Android, overall, is much smoother, much better. You're getting a good phone there. In fact, looking at the overall smoothness and feel of the Z Force 2, some would argue that it's better than the Note 8. For one, you don't have the heavy software of TouchWiz that causes it to lag every now and then. Whereas Motorola, running pretty much pure Android, stock Android, clean, smooth. Yeah, it don't have the camera that a Note 8 gonna have. But is the camera really worth that much difference in price? Considering right now, you can get a Z Force 2 for around close to $500. We're talking about a $500 difference between some of your mid-end smartphones and your high-end smartphone. And the only difference again, maybe the camera. Maybe because the specs are not quite the top of the line specs as far as processor. The screen may not be the top of the line screen. Until we as consumers begin to combat it and stop paying this money for these high-end phones, your manufacturer's going to keep pushing the limits until we say stop. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm above this. I just bought a Pixel 2 XL, despite the complaints of the display issues. And when you look at the 2 XL, can I truly say that this is a $1,000 phone? Can I truly say that when I bought this phone now, I felt like I was getting that much more than when I bought my Nexus 6P back when I bought it then, when it was around $700? Honestly, no. Outside of the camera again, everything else was pretty much on par considering where they were then and now. In fact, that'll be something else to bring up now with the trend of smartphone manufacturing going to the bezel-less display, which, don't get me wrong, I like, truly like, but they're becoming more fragile. When you have more glass, less metal or other material to protect it from drops, then you got that impact hitting the glass. And a lot of people are starting to see the impact of that. You know what I mean? As I walk around and about, I see a lot of people with some of these displays is pretty much cracked and they don't know how it got cracked. Just a small drop here and there where probably their phones in the past would have easily been able to survive that. But don't get me wrong, we love this trend. We would love this display. The reality is this. We use our smartphones probably more than any other device that we own. More than our computers. A lot of us look at our smartphones more than our TVs at the house. Anything else. We work on it. We make purchases on it. So we keep in contact with people on it. It's on us at all times. In fact, you don't leave the house without it. Your wallet and your cell phone. And most people would rather leave their wallet before they leave their cell phones. How phones continue to be, in some areas, a status symbol for some, especially the iPhone. The fact that the iPhone X sold out quickly. Pixel 2 XL, selling. Note 8, selling. As these high-end phones continue to sell out, continue to make profits for their manufacturers, you're not going to see the trend slow down of those phones continue to rise in price. But when you look at statistics, overall cost of smartphones actually going down. Can you believe it? How is it that with the high-end smartphones going up, that the overall trend is going down? Well, like I said earlier, you have options out there. You don't have to go with the iPhone X to have a good phone. The Pixel 2 XL to have a smooth phone. You have a choice. And that we as consumers can do. So as you prepare this holiday season, to think about which route you want to go with smartphones. You don't have to spend that type of money. But a lot of us will. You know why? Because many of us buy it on our carrier deal anyway. We don't see the full retail. We see, well, I'm just going to pay $49 a month for so many months. And because it's hidden in that cost right there, we're okay with it. $1,000, I'll have that paid off in 12, 13 months. We're pretty much leasing smartphones. That's the trend where we are now. In about a year and a half, we'll lease another one. So this trend of $1,000 phones, I see it going up. I think we'll see it cap off at $1,500 before it finally gets to the point where people have had enough. This is PC747, wishing you all a happy holidays, and go on out there. Look at other options, or just pay the money for that $1,500 phone. I'm out.